Coming up on this edition of Cogeco News, the heat is on and so is a thunderstorm watch. Measuring the fallout of Air Canada's pullout, and in sports, international introduction. I welcome you inside the Your TV studio for this Thursday edition of Cogeco News. Truly local, my name is Clark Heipel, and I hope you all had a pleasurable Canada Day. Abnormally hot temperatures with high humidity often is a recipe for volatile weather conditions, and that's certainly the case on the 2nd of July. The mercury rose above 30 degrees Celsius on this Thursday, with the humidex making it feel very close to 40 degrees. Many flocked to the waterfront on this day to cool off in Lake Nipissing. However, don't venture far from home on this Thursday evening as adverse weather conditions could develop rapidly. Environment Canada is warning of wind gusts potentially reaching 100 kilometers an hour and hail in a quarter size. We will track this storm into the evening, so be sure to stay tuned to our social media channels for live content if and when the storm moves in. So follow us on Facebook at Your TV North Bay. Following up on a story that we brought you on Tuesday, Air Canada has reported more than $1 billion of losses in just the first quarter of this year. And Toronto-bound flights out of North Bay's Jack Garland Airport is just one of many routes being cut by the airline indefinitely. What implications will this have on YYB moving forward? We hear from Mayor Al MacDonald.
Maybe now for another 12, 18 months, it does give us time to look at different options. But I will say that the airport, we need to keep it open. I'm fully support of funding it to make sure it never closes, because we have over 500 people working in our community that depend on that airport, 300 directly or 320 directly in the airline business that depends on aircraft flying in and out. Should council close the airport, we could hit significant job loss, as I mentioned, over 500. So I don't believe that's an option. We're absolutely going to work with the airport board to see what we can do to reduce the costs. But it is critical to our future that airport remains open.
Right now, with the lack of Air Canada, what is happening at the airport? I don't mean that in a sarcastic fashion, but what is the traffic right now at the airport?
Well, we have there's users using the airport. The big revenue draw wasn't so much that Air Ontario flew in 3 or 4 times a day. It was the revenue from the 77,000 passengers that paid a fee to get on an airplane or off an airplane at the airport. So we still have lots of usage at the airport, just that revenue stream isn't there. That was the biggest part of the budget.
City Councillor Mark King has been very vocal over the past several months, insisting that North Bay's Jack Garland Airport is a regional airport and should receive regional support from regional taxpayers.
Always maintained that the North Bay City property taxpayers can't maintain that airport. Quite frankly, they just can't. So if we're going to keep this thing open, both senior levels of government, both the province and the federal government, need to step up in a big way. And the importance can't be. It's got to be indicated out there that this is a regional airport that serves the region, not just North Bay. And, I've said that time and time again that if we want this thing to operate and maintain, the necessary infrastructure that we need for the region, then we certainly need that support.
Air Canada's press release stated that this decision was indefinite. There is a chance that flights could return. However, Councillor King believes that's a long way off.
I don't think too many people are really traveling at this point, and that's the underlying issue. I mean, it's not just in North Bay; it's all across the country. And I think what we're watching in the States now tells you that international travel is a long ways away. So do we sit there and suggest as councillors to the property taxpayers that we're going to cover the cost of operating that? Really, I just don't see that happening.
On to police news now, and there's a fair amount of it on this day. A 37-year-old North Bay man is facing 6 charges, many of which weapon-related charges, following an incident which police say the accused pointed a prohibited weapon at a person unknown to him while walking on Castle Street late Tuesday night. Other media sources said that this weapon was a sawed-off shotgun. That is not confirmed by police. Police do say the responding officers located the accused in a Castle Street parking lot where he was arrested. The authorities say the man's prohibited firearm was indeed loaded. Daniel St. Louis faces 6 charges, which include pointing a firearm and possession of a prohibited weapon. The accused remains in custody pending a bail hearing. Meanwhile, city police are asking for the public's assistance to help identify a person of interest following complaints of a man in the 600 block of Worthington Street East in North Bay, also late Tuesday night, and police have a photo to help in getting information from the public. We have that photo to show you now. Police say this man was seen walking on private property and looking into the windows of multiple residences at 11 p.m. Tuesday night. When confronted by a resident, the suspicious male fled towards the Cape Paceway. If you have any info, call police, 497-555. Meanwhile, city police are urging parents to be vigilant when monitoring who their kids are talking to online. This after a 41-year-old man out of New York State has been sentenced to 15 years in prison after he was proven to have identified himself as a teenage female and requested multiple young girls and boys in the North Bay area to send sexual images to him. The multi-year investigation began in February of 2018, and last month the man pleaded guilty to child pornography-related charges in a U.S. District Court. North Bay Police Chief Scott Todd says, quote, "The need for parents to communicate with their children is always important. However, the ongoing pandemic enhances that need more than ever. Advances in internet service means people living in almost every community are vulnerable to these predators," unquote. And speaking of the pandemic, no news is good news for the coronavirus pandemic in our area. We have some information to pass your way in the form of data that was released by the North Bay Parry Sound District Health Unit. The only real update is tests that have come through. 352 people got tested, and the change is nil, as we still have 31 historical cases and 1 person is self-isolating. Meanwhile, Canada Day was an emotional day for many. There you see a picture of the late Captain Jennifer Casey. She tragically passed away in that plane crash in May. Meanwhile, the Royal Canadian Warplane Heritage Museum out of Hamilton Mount Hope Airport, they saw a Lancaster bomber take off and fly in the skies of the Golden Horseshoe to pay tribute to the late captain. And my father, perhaps the newest Your TV volunteer, captured these awesome images. A beautiful day down in Burlington, and that is a beautiful airplane, and just gives you chills to watch it, knowing that this plane was flying in memory of the late Captain Casey. And now to Calendar. Canada Day impromptu celebrations by the Calendar Fire Department, rolling around town for hours. It was hot, but it was fun. Didn't want to advertise this in advance to avoid large groups from gathering. However, people went to the end of the driveways to catch the images of the fire trucks. About 6 trucks in total, including tankers, pumps, an ATV as well. And they were all decorated with Canadian flags. Really proud to be Canadian on this Canada Day, and the Calendar Fire Department made everyone feel a little more Canadian down in Calendar. Well, we have reached break time here on this Thursday edition of Cogeco News. Do stay tuned. Much more local news, weather, and sports right after this very short break. Welcome back inside the Your TV studio. As we told you earlier in the week, June was Pride Month, and that has obviously come to an end as July is upon us. The AIDS Committee of North Bay and area wanted to show what Pride means to them, and they have this in-house produced video.
Protest. Remembering that Pride started with a protest. There's much more work to be done.
Self-affirming one's own worthiness and value as an individual.
Make celebrating accessible, because it is my job as a non-disabled queer person to take action so Pride spaces move beyond welcoming into accessible and barrier-free.
Love is my word. Love is everywhere. Love is my friends. Love is my family. Love is my partner. Love is my family cats. And I am in love with all of them. Love trumps hate.
Ally is a verb. Being an ally is not about you. It's about the community you support. It's about listening, showing up, educating yourself, and not taking up space with your privilege.
Freedom. Don't be afraid to show your true colors.
Anti-racist, anti-oppressive. Centering and amplifying the voices of Black, Indigenous, people of color, trans, and gender diverse people while taking active steps to dismantle individual, societal, and structural racism and oppression.
Respect. Respecting lived experience.
Community. We must work together to form a community of love and compassion for all, one in which supports every single Black, Indigenous person of color, trans, and queer individuals in their accessibility to find the support and the embrace of their community. We must thrive, live, and take care of one another.
Inclusion. Welcoming everyone with open arms, regardless of sexual identity, spiritual beliefs, cultural background, or color of skin.
As with most events in 2020 due to the coronavirus pandemic, things will be different this year for the 11th annual live butterfly release with the Near North Palliative Care Network. This year's release will happen on Saturday, July 11th from 12 to 1, and it will be exclusively online through their Facebook page.
Yes, so on July 11th, we have our 11th annual butterfly release, this year on online live stream. We are going to be doing the butterfly release from the gardens of St. Joseph's Mother House, and we are going to be releasing a swarm of butterflies on behalf of people who have lost loved ones. So we're going to be running this on our Facebook live stream, on our Near North Palliative Care Network Facebook page, and it will also be available to view after the live stream. So, Near North Palliative Care symbol is the butterfly, and palliative care, the symbol is the butterfly, and it kind of represents new hope, new life, things like that. So the butterfly has always been a big part of Near North Palliative Care Network. So this is our 11th annual butterfly release. Usually we're down at the waterfront, but due to COVID restrictions, we are constrained to here this year.
It is Thursday. I don't really know what day it feels like with the holiday smack dab in the middle of the week, but it is Thursday, and that cues us up for another edition of Pet of the Week. This time around, we head inside the cat room to feature a very talkative, you'll see, a talkative senior resident looking for his forever home. The North Bay District Humane Society still closed to walk-in traffic. However, that doesn't mean adoptions are closed. And we've got a cute black cat up for adoption as this week's Pet of the Week.
We wanted to feature one of our oldest aged residents. So this is Mr. Mosby, and he came into us as a stray. He might talk for himself here in a minute. He's got quite the attitude on him, but we are looking for a very specific special home for him. So he's a little bit of an older gentleman. We don't know his age exactly, but he is diabetic. So he's been diagnosed, he's had his blood work, he's been on insulin injections once a day right now, and we believe that we are getting it under control, but it is something that is going to be lifelong monitoring and a little bit of special needs for him to keep up with vet appointments and make sure that his blood glucose levels don't drop too far.
And what tipped you and the staff members off that blood work is needed to check to see if he's diabetic? Was he losing weight? Was he not eating?
So definitely with older cats, it's always good to run blood work, and especially with coming into the shelter, we don't know if somebody's, dropped them off at the side of the road for a health or a medical concern. When he came into us, he would fill his whole litter box with pee. So those are one of the biggest triggers. If he's got a lot of water intake and a lot of urine output, then it's a trigger that something's wrong. So whether it's kidneys, whether it's, diabetes, which is one of the common ones that we see here at the Humane Society, but it's also something that's treatable. So a really quick blood exam, sent to the lab, and then we just follow up from there.
And how does he do with the other cats if he's in the cat room?
So he does socialize with other animals. So right now he's become our resident clinic cat. So he's the good supporter in there for our technician and our vet. But otherwise he is very social and friendly with other cats. We don't have any other issues. He's a little bit leery around dogs right now, but getting into a home, I don't see it being a problem once he gets in and gets settled.
And if somebody's interested in this cute cat, considering the special health needs and requirements, what should they do?
Give us a call at the Humane Society. So again, our doors are still closed to the public right now, but we're really encouraging our adoptions to start the uptake. We want to see people add new furry friends to their home, and this guy is no exception. So give us a call, send us an email if you're interested, and we can try and set up a meet and greet.
And lastly, it's ridiculously hot out, so leave the dogs at home right now. Do not even bring them in the car at this point.
Yeah, so I mean, we've been out on the road as the Humane Society dealing with, investigations and helping out, taking in animals, and it is absolutely absurd out there right now. So we've got the air conditioning blasting in for the animals in the Humane Society, and the animals at home should be no different. So just leave them at home. Don't even worry about them in the car. It's just safer.
Big thank you to Janet for making herself available on this day. She had a busy day, but she always manages to squeeze us in to get Pet of the Week on the air, and we are very appreciative of that. Last check at the weather forecast, 4:49 was the latest update from Environment Canada. It's still a severe thunderstorm watch that could be upgraded to a warning. Who knows, maybe before the end of this newscast. We'll keep an eye on it. Weather next.
Weather is brought to you by Canadore College. Great things happen here.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. Greg remains on vacation, and we are delivering your weather forecast from the studio this week. As of 5:20, the temperature is 26 with the humidex 36. Rather, it's 29 degrees Celsius with the humidex 36. And anytime now, a thunderstorm could develop, so when thunder roars, go indoors. Let's take a look at that weather picture. This flower outside our studio in the garden. Overnight on this Thursday night, very possible chance of a thunderstorm as the temperature is hot. And the UV index was high today, but going overnight, 19 with a risk of a thunderstorm, and it could be severe in nature. On Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, pretty much a blanket statement of sun and warm temperatures. I'm just going to forego reading all that because it's the same. Turning the page back to the almanac. 31 and 14 was a high and low on Wednesday. The normals, 25 and 13. Well, there you have it. There is your 5-day weather picture. We receive an international introduction from the North Bay Battalion. All that and more in sports right after this very short break.
Sports is brought to you by Tag Construction for all your construction needs.
Welcome back to Cogeco News. It's time now for your sportscast. The North Bay Battalion, as with many organizations across the world, doing everything online, and they had a media conference via Zoom on this Thursday afternoon following that CHL priority selection, the import selection on Tuesday. Let's take a look at what GM Adam Dennis had to say.
They're both represented from the same agency, and for us, I believe I'll let one of the Matveys take it on after this. But they've been on the ice together. We definitely asked Mr. Guskov some questions about Mr. Petrov, and they've been on the ice together. I believe Matvey Petrov, he actually went to the NHL draft to witness Mr. Guskov being drafted.
To be honest, he was with me in a draft in Vancouver, so we lived with him in the same room. We spent a lot of time with him, and he sat with me right beside me when I got picked by Minnesota. So it was a lot of fun, and he's a great friend with me. I'm really happy that he's joining such a great organization, and he's going to play in the same team with me in North Bay. So, and I think he's a very skilled player. When I first time saw him in Anaheim, he was impressed. I was impressed. He was 2 years younger than us, but he did everything same as us. He plays one-on-one with us, scored a goal. So really looking forward to next season to see that he's gonna help us to win. Growing up, his favorite player was Pavel Datsyuk, so he always watched his games, and he really loved him as a player. And last summer, when we were in Miami with our agent. So we had a chance to talk to Datsuk, and he had a chance to. So he his favorite player is Datsuk. So he tried to play like him.
And I could watch that goal on repeat. That is some slick moves. We have reached the conclusion of this edition of Cogeco News. However, before we let you go, we're going to head up high in the sky with our eyes in the sky and take a look at some drone footage of North Bay. Do stay tuned to Cogeco News, as tomorrow we will preview Independence Day, July 4th, a big holiday for members up serving at 22 Wing under the United States Air Force Detachment 2. We'll have that and much more on Friday. Join us then for more Cogeco News.
Won't you bring me? Can you bring me Won't you find me? Come and guide me, lights in a mirage. Won't you bring me? Can you bring me? Please just take me home.